Hello everyone, this is part 3 of What If Naruto Awakens the Rinnegan, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, and check out the playlist, to see more comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Fire Country, Tanzaku Town. Explanation, a good one. Now, Naruto demanded with a glare. His Rinnegan boring 2 holes into the 2 Sannin in front of him. You said you would explain about this, Uzumaki Kushina, so tell me now. Jiraiya looked over at Tsunade wondering how he was going to explain this. Well, you see. Deciding it would be better if she explained, Tsunade cut in, you already know that Kushina was your mother. She was a part of the Uzumaki clan who were the main clan of the Whirlpool country, and her family line in particular was the royal family of the entire country. What do you mean Uzumaki clan? There's no such thing. I think I would have heard of it if there were one, Naruto asked, not believing it. That's because the entire country was destroyed and the rest of the clan was wiped out by Kyuubi no Kitsune before it attacked Konoha. Jiraiya decided to answer that question. Kyuubi? Are you telling me that demon killed my entire family? Naruto asked, not sure what else to say. Jiraiya nodded at that. Only your mother remained and she died in childbirth the day Kyuubi attacked Konoha. Naruto sat down on the nearby bed when he heard that. What about my father? He died in the fight against the Kyuubi that day, Jiraiya answered, telling half the truth. Why do I have the Rinnegan? You said my mother had it, so what am I meant to think exactly? Naruto asked, trying to remain calm. I should probably start from the beginning, Tsunade began. Many years ago, during an age of turmoil, a single man discovered the energy we know as chakra. I don't know his name, however I do know what he was called. He was called the Rikudo Sennin and he also wielded the Rinnegan. In fact, he was the first to have it. Ero Sennin already told me this when I first awakened it, so what? Naruto asked, getting annoyed at the little story. The Rikudo Sennin had 2 sons, Tsunade said after a moment, surprising Naruto, Yugito and Shizune. What? Yugito asked, surprised. She'd been told about the story many years ago and knew it in detail. It never mentioned children. He had 2 sons, he also chose one of them to be his successor before he died, Tsunade continued. The elder brother was gifted with the sage's eyes and became known as Uchiha Tobi. He was the originator of the Uchiha bloodline and thought peace was best achieved with the use of force, she explained. Naruto's eyes widened. Sasuke is related to the Rikudo Sennin. All Uchiha are, Tsunade said darkly. Same as the Senju, she added. Yugito asked, confused. The younger brother was gifted with the sage's marvelous chakra and became known as Senju Naruto. He was my ancestor and the man who created the Senju clan, the blonde Sannin explained. Naruto. As in my name? Naruto asked. Tsunade nodded at that and repeated what she told Jiraiya previously. Unlike his elder brother, he thought peace could be achieved through never giving up and always looking towards the future. On his deathbed, the Rikudo Sennin chose him as his successor over his brother just before he died. In doing so, Uchiha Tobi attacked his little brother out of jealousy and anger. This sparked the conflict between the Uchiha and Senju clans all the way through to the founding of Konoha. That still doesn't explain why I have the Rinnegan, Naruto commented. He's right, although I do find it freaky that he has the same name as a son of the Rikudo Sennin. He's an Uzumaki, not a Senju or an Uchiha, Yugito said, trying to clear things up. That's where it gets complicated. You see, during the clan wars before the shinobi villages were founded, a section of the Senju clan broke off from the main group and wanted to leave in search of a place to call home. They settled on a remote island just off of water country they called Whirlpool country, Tsunade continued. The leader of the group was a man named Senju Arashi, or Uzumaki Arashi as he later started calling himself, and he founded the Uzumaki clan with the others of the group. The Rinnegan began appearing in their family and Arashi's family became the royal family of Whirlpool country. Most of the clan only activated a Rinnegan once every 5 generations, but Arashi's family, a Rinnegan awoke in every generation, and it was always the first child who awoke it that became the heir to the throne. Naruto took a moment to let all of the information sink in. So then, since I'm an only child, you are the heir to the throne, Tsunade finished with a nod. So what now then? Yugito asked after a moment of silence. Jiraiya sighed and stood up. We should head back to Konoha now so Tsunade can assume the Hokage's position. When did I say I was going to do that? Tsunade asked with a small smirk. Everyone looked at her with confusion. What do you mean, Tsunade? You made a bet with the kid, remember? You lost, so you have to become Hokage, Jiraiya said sternly. Actually, I only agreed to return to Konoha. I never agreed to become Hokage, Tsunade told him, surprising the group. But if you don't, then who will? I sure as hell am not going to take the job, Jiraiya stated. I might have an idea, Tsunade shot him a grin. Fire Country, Konoha, Hokage Tower. Things had changed in the village since the Suna Oto attack a month ago. An Anbu captain named Tenzo practically took command of the entire shinobi force as a temporary leader, with Hitaki Kakashi in a hospital bed from his battle with Uchiha Itachi, who had managed to enter the village without anyone noticing. When Senju Tsunade had returned, much to the surprise of everyone in Konoha, and healed Kakashi, he was given command back. The elders were shocked to say the least when they discovered that both Jiraiya and Tsunade spoke to the daimyo himself, practically going behind their backs, and got the daimyo and the council to make Kakashi the Godime Hokage, saying he was the best man for the job right now. That leads us to the current situation. This is torture, Kakashi grumbled from behind the Hokage's desk as he scanned over the many sheets of paper on the table. Why did I accept this job again? He asked with a groan. Because Tsunade-sama and Jiraiya-sama said you were the best choice, his new assistant, Shizune answered as she brought in another stack of papers. I'm not sure if I should be insulted by the fact that they both turned it down, or flattered that they have so much faith in me, the masked Hokage sighed and leaned back. How did you survive this torture, Minato-sensei? He asked in thought as his eyes settled on the vast amount of paperwork. Knock knock. Come in, he called and sat up. The door opened and his former students entered. You're late. We got lost on the road of life, Naruto shot back with a grin. The blonde Chunin had changed his attire some after he had returned to Konoha. He still wore a jumpsuit, but this one was covered in more black than orange and suited him a lot better than his previous cloths, think his jumpsuit from part 2. His teammates had been surprised to see him wearing it, and when they asked, he said his last one was practically worn out from his last mission. Quote. Cute. Really cute, Kakashi sighed and waved him over. He looked over at Shizune and asked, can you wait outside for a moment? This won't take long. She nodded and left a moment later. He turned back to the three and spoke, I assume you know why you're here. Sakura looked a little nervous as she spoke up, not really, sensei. Kakashi sighed before continuing, as you know, I am the Godime Hokage. As such, I am no longer your sensei, so the team is being changed around a bit. Are we getting another Jonin sensei? Sakura asked, feeling her nervousness grow. Kakashi shook his head, not exactly. He continued after a short pause, between the attack last month and the need for Jonin to be stationed either here or at the border, I simply don't have anyone to spare right now. So what then? Naruto asked. Knock knock. Come in, Kakashi called and the door opened. Yugito entered a moment later, catching everyone's attention. Sakura looked at her nervously as she silently wondered what Akumo Nin was doing in Konoha. Sasuke sent her a curious if a little annoyed look. Naruto, on the other hand, well, his eyes were narrowed and she could have sworn she saw his Rinnegan activate for a second. Ni Yugito, she introduced herself. You wanted to see me, Hokage-sama? She asked respectfully. Yes, I did, Kakashi said with one of his eye smiles. I have been told by Jiraiya-sama that you are the ambassador from Kumo, correct? He asked. Yugito nodded at that, paying no heed to the reactions of the two genin in the room. That is correct. Because you are a shinobi, a messenger from the Raikage requested that you be part of a joint village team, Kakashi continued. With Suna now an ally again, they have done the same with a young girl called Temari. I've assigned her to one of the other genin teams, he concluded. Where am I being assigned to? The Kumo Chunin asked. Team Kakashi led by Uzumaki Naruto, the Hokage stated, surprising the group. Sasuke's fists instantly clenched as his face remained in its neutral state, even though he could feel a dull ache coming from the back of his neck. But Kakashi-sensei, Naruto Baka is, Sakura began. A Konoha Chunin and is your superior, Sakura, Kakashi cut her off. Like I said, I have no one else to spare, and besides Shikamaru is doing the same with Temari since Asuma is on the front lines right now, he finished. Who has command? Both Naruto and I have the same rank, Yugito asked as she took note that Naruto had gone unusually quiet. Since it is a Konoha team, Naruto has tactical command, but you are second in command. Like I said, Shikamaru is doing the same with Temari. They were both promoted to Chunin, but he has tactical command, Kakashi explained. After a moment of silence, he sighed. If there are no questions, I have a mission for you. What is it? Naruto asked, speaking for the first time since Yugito entered the room. It's an A-rank escort mission to Snow Country, Kakashi stated, surprising the four. We're spread pretty thin, so I'm assigning you to take care of this, he said as he handed him a sheet of paper along with what appeared to be a photo. Her name is Fujikazu Yuki. She's an actress and a good one. She plays the lead character in the Princess Gale movies. You might want to see it before taking the mission. We'll get right on that, Naruto said. Is there anything else? His voice didn't seem to hold any of the childishness from the last time Kakashi saw him. The Hokage just shook his head. That's everything, good luck, and dismissed. The four nins bowed and Kakashi watched as they exited the room. You've changed, Naruto. Once outside, Sasuke immediately turned to Naruto. Dobe. Just to get things straight, I don't care what Kakashi says, you are not the T. Naruto rounded on him, grabbed his collar and slammed him up against the wall. I don't care, team. You don't like me and I sure as hell don't like you, but while we're on this mission you will do everything I say. If you don't follow my orders I will consider you a traitor, and believe me when I say you don't want that. Naruto, you can't talk to Sasuke-kun like th, Sakura raged. Sakura, shut up. You're annoying. Naruto shot back, causing her eyes to wide from the memory of someone else saying those exact same words. Naruto turned his attention back to Sasuke and said simply, follow my orders and we won't have a problem. It's as simple as that. He let go, allowing Sasuke to regain his footing. Sasuke grunted but said nothing else. Naruto turned away and started walking. Let's go see this movie that Sensei was talking about. At the very least we'll know what this actress looks like. What about her? Sakura asked, gesturing to the Kumo nin walking with them. I have a name, you know, it's Yugito, she said, annoyed. I worked with her on my last mission. I know what she can do, Naruto said, not even looking back as Yugito made to follow him. I don't like this, Sakura muttered as she followed soon after. That was the best film I've ever seen, Yugito said as the four made their way out of the movie theater. A brave and strong heroine faces impossible odds as evil tries to stop her from continuing her glorious quest. A cat-like grin made it onto her face. You were watching her. I preferred to keep my eyes on that handsome Michi who played Sukeakuro. I wish I could just watch him all day long. Sakura said before she realized what she was saying and turned to Sasuke. Of course he doesn't compare to you, Sasuke-kun, she said, trying to cover it up. You really need to sort out your priorities, Pinky, Yugito said, giving her an annoyed look. Sakura sent her a glare in return. Shut it, Cloud Girl. Make me? Yugito grinned back as her eyes flashed purple for a second. Alright, settle down you two, Naruto said, stopping them from continuing any further. Then the strangest thing happened. Well, a few actually. The first was someone who looked a lot like the woman they were assigned to protect jumped past them riding a horse. About 20 samurai followed her, also on horses, and seemed to be chasing her through the streets. W was that Princess Gale who just rose by? Sakura asked in a stutter. No, that was the actress that plays her. She's being chased, right? Yugito asked, pointing down the street the woman and the samurai had rode down. Yeah, she is. Let's go, Naruto said, and the four took to the roofs to catch them. They quickly caught up with the horses that were galloping through the village. Disable them. Don't kill them unless you actually consider them a threat. Got it, Yugito and Sakura said at the same time while Sasuke just gave a HN. Once the horses reached an open area, the team dropped in front of them, surprising the riders. The only unmasked rider called out in surprise, "Who are you?" "We're the good guys," Naruto waved back and suddenly shot forward with the rest of the team. It didn't take long to restrain the collection of samurai. "What are you doing?" the leader asked as he was tied up. "We're supposed to protect Fujikazu Yuki. You know, the woman you were chasing just a second ago. Since you were chasing her, that makes you the bad guys," Naruto answered. "Yuki, but we're with the film crew. I'm her manager. She ran away from the shoot, so we went after her." "My name is Asama Sandayu," the leader stated. "Sasuke?" Naruto asked over his shoulder. He's not lying, the Uchiha replied with his Sharingan activated. Right, Naruto said and clicked his fingers releasing the ropes that bound the samurai. How about you explain to us exactly what is going on? He asked. What about Yuki? Sandayu asked. She's probably long gone from here by now, we'll find her later, Naruto said sending a knowing glance at Yugito who nodded back. Of course, right this way, Sandayu and gestured down the street. The next Princess Gale movie is the first one we're shooting abroad. And I don't need to tell you all about our leading actress, the assistant director sighed. I am sorry, Sandayu apologized knowing why she had run away. I have to say these ninja you hired Sandayu are really something else. They took down those stuntmen turned bodyguards we hired like they were nothing and those are some pretty big guys, said director Makino. Thanks. I think, Yugito said unsure if she should take it as a compliment or an insult. Anyway we're planning on filming the movie's big climatic ending in Snow Country so that's why we're going there. Sandayu here recommended it since according to him the rainbow glacier in Snow Country is said to turn into 7 different colors during the spring, the assistant director explained. That's nothing but a legend, Yugito shook her head at that. There is no spring in Snow Country, the entire place is locked in a permanent winter, she continued. Why does Yuki keep running away? Naruto asked thinking he was missing something valuable. We don't know, she just started when she found out we were going to Snow Country, Makino explained. Naruto remained silent for a moment before he turned to his team. Let's go get her. The sooner we find her the sooner we can finish this mission. Yugito. She's in a bar on the other side of town, the Kumo nin answered. How do you know? Sakura asked shooting her a confused look. I'm a sensory type, I can sense specific chakra signatures over large distances, Yugito explained a little annoyed. Let's go then, Naruto said and they were off. Fire Country, Tanzaku Town. Are you sure this is the place? Naruto asked as the team arrived with Sandayu right behind them. Yugito nodded, she's definitely inside. Alright I'll go in first, try and talk to her. If that doesn't work well, I'll just let you handle it Yugito, he said to her and she nodded in understanding. Good luck, Yugito said as he entered the establishment. He found Yuki sitting at the darkened counter and approached her carefully. Excuse me, he said as he narrowly passed a man wearing a hat which covered his eyes putting himself between the actress and the man. The man just kept walking as Naruto turned to the actress sitting at the bar, Fujikazuki I presume. Who wants to know? She asked sending him a sideways glance. Uzumaki Naruto, the Chunin answered simply. Quote. You're a little too young for me kid, she told him trying to get a rise out of him. It didn't work, old enough to kill, old enough to screw around. He turned his attention downwards to her neck and something caught his attention. Quit staring pervert, she shot at him. Naruto just ignored it however, that necklace you have. She froze at the mention of it, what is this feeling? It's like the feeling I got from the Shodime's necklace but, it's different. It's nothing, Yuki said turning away. Naruto shook it off, who are you really? She looked at him for a moment before she answered, I'm nothing but a lie. Nothing but words on paper that are expected to be alive, what about you? Who are you really? I don't know anymore, or perhaps I never did, he answered truthfully. Yuki chuckled darkly, then you should just go home. Quote. You're right, Naruto said and turned back towards the door. You're broken, nothing but a shell for a lie, he said as he passed her towards the exit. She shuddered slightly as he passed her. That boy, he's just like him, she thought remembering the man who had saved her 10 years ago. Well how did it go? Sakura asked once he was outside. Not as well as I'd hoped. Yugito get to it, he said and the Kumo nin nodded. She entered the bar a moment later with the others close behind. We should make this fast. Reikyu, Yugito whispered and sent a small ball of lightning at the actress causing her to instantly freeze up and fall into unconsciousness. I only used enough chakra to disable her. There's no permanent damage of any kind. Good. Sasuke helped me with her, Naruto said as he threw her arm over his shoulder and the Uchiha reluctantly got the other arm. Naruto turned to the manager and asked, where to now? Snow Country, unknown location. She has the Hex Crystal, there is question that she is Kazuhana Kayuki, your niece, the leader of the Yuki Nin stated as he bowed on one knee. The Snow Daimyo merely chuckled, interesting. She's not alone however, My spy says she is being guarded by Team Kakashi, the leader finished. Kakashi. As in the Hatake Kakashi. The female of the group asked with a small smirk. It would appear he has personally trained her escort, though he does not appear to be a member of the team, the leader replied with a nod. I heard he became the Hokage, the last man mused. Even without Kakashi, the team is extremely dangerous on their own, the leader continued. The leader of the group is Uzumaki Naruto, the holder of Rinnegan. Uzumaki? That's a name I haven't heard in a while, the daimyo said. I thought they all perished at the fall of the Whirlpool country, he's probably that woman's brat, he mused. So the Prince of Whirlpool, huh? Sounds like fun, the female said as a grin spread across her face. His teammates are nothing to joke about either. The heir to the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Sasuke, is on the team as well. Then there's the Raikage's granddaughter who appears to be acting as an ambassador to Konoha now, the leader stated clearly. The Snow Daimyo chuckled at that, in the end it will be a clash of fate. Snow Country, film ship, ocean. I know this is a mission and Hokage-sama picked us for the job, but I really can't stand that woman, Yugito said annoyed. She may be a good actress, but her people skills could use some work. It's not so bad, Yugito, it could always be worse. Naruto shrugged and leaned back on the railing of the ship. Our mission is to protect her, we have to do it even if we don't like it. I don't think guarding a pampered actress will be that difficult, Sasuke said looking over the railing at the seaboard. Naruto just shook his head at that. We thought the same about that old drunk Tazuna on our mission to Wave Country. If you remember, we had to fight Momoki Zabuza, the demon of the mist, and his apprentice. That was different, Sasuke grunted. Quote. Maybe, but I don't think that Sandayugai is telling us everything, Naruto said as he looked over at the way everyone was about to start filming. Everyone be on your guard just in case. Something is definitely wrong here, he said as he remembered the feeling he got from the actress's necklace. Snow Country, iceberg. Quote. What the hell is this? Yugito asked upon seeing the massive cluster of ice and snow which had created a floating island in the middle of the sea. That is an iceberg, Naruto said simply. Everyone. We're shooting the next scene here. Get ready. The assistant director shouted to the film crew. Okay, scene 36. Cut 22. They started shooting a moment later. It was cut short, however, when the mountain behind where the villain character exploded, blowing ice down the side and leaving a large hole in the side of it. Is that a part of the movie? Sakura asked nervously. I don't think so, Naruto said as he jumped in front of the film crew, or more specifically Yuki. Rinnegan, his eyes shifted slightly as his dojutsu activated as Yugito and Sasuke came up at his side flanking Yuki while Sakura hung back. Hey, what are you all doing? The assistant director shouted at them. Everyone get back to the ship. Naruto shouted over his shoulder. On top of the cliff a single figure rose from the ground. It appears you're as good as they say, Uzumaki Naruto, he spoke. Who the hell are you? Naruto asked him with narrowed eyes. Roga Nader, it's a pleasure to meet you, Prince of Whirlpool, the Yuki nin said with a smirk. Prince? Sakura asked, not understanding. I'll explain later, Naruto said over his shoulder, though he didn't take his eyes off of the man. Naruto on the left. Yugito called out and Naruto turned to spot another Yuki nin standing on the nearby pillar of ice, though it was a girl this time. Greetings, Princess Kayuki, I do hope you're still carrying around the hex crystal, the girl said with a smirk. The entire group was surprised by the declaration and cast a look at the unmoving form of Fujika's Yuki. What does that mean? Yugito asked, uncertain. It doesn't matter right now, remember the mission, Naruto said, getting everyone back to attention. One more on the right, Sasuke said upon seeing another Yuki nin emerge from the ground further down side of the mountain, though this one was male. Impressive Uchiha, but it's still not good enough, the newcomer said clearly. Yugito, you take the guy on the right, Sasuke take the girl, and Sakura you cover Yuki or whoever she is, Naruto ordered. Fubuki, Mizore, you take care of the princess while I deal with him, Nader said and jumped down with Fubuki following a moment later. Reikyu, Yugito called out as she jumped clear of the group and threw the lightning ball at the approach Mizore, who appeared to be riding a snowboard. Out of my way, little girl. The Yuki nin shouted as the ball of lightning seemed to hit an invisible wall just before impact and was nullified. That's, Yugito thought as she dodged to the side to avoid the incoming attack. Mizore slid right past her and turned to face her once more. That's definitely chakra armor, but I've never heard of it being this advanced before. Kaiten, Hosenka no Jutsu. Sasuke called out as he expelled 7 small blazing fireballs at the pink-haired Yuki Nin. Fubuki dodged most of them, but the ones that hit just seemed to splash along some kind of invisible barrier. What is that? Is that the best you've got? Fubuki chuckled and backflipped away from him while she quickly made several hand seals. Hyoro no Jutsu, she whispered as she touched back down. The ground in front of her expanded in the form of ice towards where Sasuke stood. I'm going to freeze your balls off, kid. Sasuke grimaced and jumped away only to be caught by the ice. His body suddenly changed into a fire lamp with an explosive tag connected to it. The tag exploded, sending ice shards scattering across the battlefield. Sasuke suddenly emerged from the ground below Fubuki and she turned to face him only for her eyes to widen upon seeing his attack. Chidori. The Uchiha called out as he struck with the technique. Only for that damn barrier she had to hold it back. She knocked him away and took to the skies on a pair of robotic wings. I fractured her armor, but nothing short of another Chidori is going to be enough to break through it. Shinra Tensei, the top of the mountain exploded as a result of the sudden of a massive blast of concentrated gravity. Nader landed on the edge of the main slope and smirked. Naruto stood atop one of the neighboring snow pillars. This guy is as strong as Kabuto, maybe stronger. If you keep that up, you're going to bring the whole mountain down on us, you know. The Yuki leader smiled knowingly. Guys, they're using chakra armor. Ninjutsu and genjutsu are useless against them as long as they're wearing those things. Yugito shouted out the rest of the team. We know. Naruto shouted back as Nader made a hand seal. Hyoten, Hayu Moko. The Yuki leader said with a smirk, and suddenly the mountainside came alive as a half-dragon, half-tiger formed from the gathered ice. Shinra Tensei, Naruto whispered, and the barreling ice beast shattered. He looked up at the where the Yuki leader stood, grinning. Damn this guy, there's no openings at all. Give up, kid. You can't beat me, Nader spoke confidently. In response, Naruto raised his hand towards him and whispered 2 simple words. Bansho Tenon. Nader was surprised when he felt his body being pulled towards Naruto, who had already cocked his other fist back. You're an ass. You know that, he yelled as he landed the monstrous punch to the Yuki leader's face. That hurt, Nader growled out as he stood up from the snow again. You're going to pay for that, Your Majesty. The old Naruto would have most likely kept fighting until one of them fell, but things had changed. Despite feeling the same way as before, Naruto knew that his team were at a serious disadvantage here, and it was only a matter of time before they all fell. He made a quick decision without taking his eyes off of the Yuki leader. Sakura, use every explosive tag you have. Blanket the entire iceberg. Sink it. Naruto shouted over his shoulder, surprising everyone including the assembled Yuki nins. Sakura nodded nervously at that. All right. Are you insane? You'll die too. Nader sneered. Naruto just grinned. We'll see about that bastard. Mizore, stop the girl. Nader shouted to his teammate. Mizore nodded at the order and slid past Yugito. Oh no you don't, the Kumo Chunin growled as she took off after him. Oh no, Sakura's eyes widened as he approached. Just before he reached her, however, Yugito jumped down between the two with her arm now covered in what looked like flames. Keizuki, she called out as she made to slash the Yuki nin and appeared to clash against some kind of barrier. Damn it, I can't hold him forever. Hurry it up, Pinky, Yugito called out over her shoulder. Sakura nodded and opened her cloak, revealing dozens of kunai with bags attached to them. She started throwing them up towards the mountain one after the other in quick succession until they were all gone. She then drew a kunai with an explosive tag and threw it at the wide array of bags. Sakura Fubuki no Jutsu, enjoy, the tag detonated in a magnificent light followed by the booming sound of an explosion. This was soon followed by the contents of the bags exploding as well, increasing the blast tenfold. The entire iceberg shook as the ice splintered and cracked under the pressure and heat from the blast. Every get back to the ship. Naruto shouted as he jumped away from Nader. The rest of Team Kakashi disengaged from their own fights and hurried towards the ship they had come on, where the film crew had already fled. The Team Snow couldn't catch them in time since they had to worry about escaping the shattering iceberg themselves. Back on the ship, Team Kakashi and the film crew watched as the entire iceberg shattered and its remains floated on the ocean surface. The ship had already started moving away from the area as Team Snow watched them leave. I think this mission just got a lot harder. Naruto sighed. Snow Country, film ship, ocean. The room was dark on board the film ship where Yuki Kyuki slept in bed. Naruto stood next to the window and kept on looking between both her and the necklace she wore, which was now on the table beside the bed. The feeling he got from it was cold yet refreshing instead of the Shodime's necklace, which felt warm. 2 of 6. Naruto looked around upon hearing the voice but found no one other than him and Kyuki. Tail, moon, split, sage, necklace. That's not Kyubi, Naruto thought, since he didn't feel any demonic presence. Senju. Uchiha, legacy. Child of prophecy. What the hell are you talking about? I don't understand you, Naruto asked in thought but got no reply. Naruto turned and stared at the necklace for a good 10 more seconds before he made a hand seal and whispered a few choice words. A second later, a single shadow clone appeared in the room and transformed into a copy of the necklace. A second later, he switched the two and placed Kyuki's necklace in his pocket. Greetings, Princess Kyuki, I do hope you're still carrying around the hex crystal. What's so damn important about this crystal? Naruto asked in thought as he remembered the Yuki nin saying those words. There was a knock on the door before it slid open slightly, allowing Sandayu to look in. The ship pulled into dock a moment ago, everyone else is waiting in the conference room, he spoke simply. Naruto nodded, yeah, you've got some explaining to do. Sandayu nodded and the two walked to the conference room, making sure to close the door behind them. Naruto, what did that snow guy mean when he called out, Prince? Why would he call you that? Sakura asked, though it sounded more like a demand. Yugito shot her an annoyed look. Why do you think, Pinky? It's because he's the heir to the Whirlpool country's throne and the only child of Uzumaki Kushina. Naruto sighed, it's true. Why didn't you tell us? Sakura asked in surprise and almost a little hurt. Would you have believed me? I was the dead last of our class, Sakura. Even if I'd known about it back then, no one would have believed me. Besides, I only found out recently, so it really doesn't matter at the moment, Naruto responded. Sasuke remained quiet as he watched him with narrowed eyes. What I want to know is what's up with Yuki, if that's really her name, Yugito said as she leaned against the wall near the window. Sandayu-san, explanation, a good one, now, Naruto said with a hardened tone which surprised Sakura and Sasuke. The manager calmed himself and sighed, all right. He took a deep breath and began, Fujikazuki is only an alias, you're actually guarding Princess Kazuhana Kyuki, the rightful heir to Snow Country's throne, he stated. I'm sorry, what? Naruto snapped. And when the hell were you going to tell us this? I didn't think they would come after her so soon, the manager stammered out. I'm a former resident of Snow Country, so I know her, Sandayu continued, unable to meet the gaze. Yugito cast a look over at Naruto, she's just like Naruto. I served the princess's father, the former daimyo of Snow Country, Sosatsu-sama. Then 10 years ago, Sosatsu-sama's younger brother Doto hired a group of Yuki nins and started a coup d'etat. The Kazuhana palace was burned to the ground and Sosatsu-sama was killed. I thought the same fate befell the princess, but she was saved by Hitaki Kakashi, Sandayu explained. Kakashi-sensei saved her? Sakura asked. Sandayu nodded. The day I discovered she was alive, I was practically beside myself with joy. She was alive after all those years. We all thought she had perished with her father. I should have died that day, a voice rang out from the door. There, leaning against the archway, was Yuki. Kyuki, I am alive. But whatever tears I had left all dried up that day. Sandayu wiped the tears from his eyes, and that's how I came to be the manager of Fujikazuki. I have bided my time, waiting for the opportunity to return the princess to Snow Country. So you've just been using us all this time? Asked the assistant to his side. I'm terribly sorry for deceiving you all, but it was for Snow Country's people, Sandayu said as he stood and moved in front of the Snow Princess. He dropped to his hands and knees, pleading with her, please princess. I beg of you, confront Doto and assume your place as the leader of our home. Kyuki stared at him impassively, not a chance. I refuse to throw away my life in some fool's dream. But your highness, Sandayu began. You can forget it, I don't care. No matter what happens, you can never get rid of Doto, the princess said with a glare. Why don't you shut your mouth? Naruto growled angrily at her, surprising his team. This man is on his knees, begging whatever self-respect you have left in hopes of accomplishing his greatest dream. Insult him like that again and, mission or not, woman or not, I will beat you into the ground. The room fell deathly silent after that, tensions running high as the two bit back their own sneers. And just who are you to tell me what to do? Kyuki asked, never taking her eyes off the blonde boy. I can be your best friend or your worst enemy, Naruto answered as his Rinnegan activated, creating a pressure in the air. It's not like you have a choice. With this Doto after you now, your only hope is to keep moving. He let that sink in for a few seconds before continuing, like it or not. We're your only hope, deal with it. Quote. Kyuki didn't know what to say to that. Yugito spoke up next. Normally on a mission like this we'd return to the village, but with Doto after us we'd be slaughtered before we escaped. Let's just deal with them here. It's nothing we can't handle, Sasuke grunted with his arms crossed. Sasuke-kun is right. We won the last fight, Sakura added in her 2 cents. Naruto nodded reluctantly. No, we didn't. They ambushed us. We barely escaped without any serious wounds. They'll be prepared next time. But then again, so will we. Uchiha Sasuke walked along the length of the ship, his mind not on the ocean or the ship itself. Instead it was on his team, his second family. He cared for them, for the bonds between them, but something was missing. Something that was important. His goal. Why are you still so weak? Is it because you don't have enough hatred? Uchiha Itachi. The man who murdered everyone he cared about, the man who slaughtered his entire clan, the man who was once his brother. He had been on Sasuke's mind since their encounter a month ago. He had thought that Itachi had returned to finish him like he did the rest of the Uchiha clan. Instead he not only all but ignored Sasuke's presence. His reason for returning was to capture his teammate Naruto. It was ludicrous. It went against everything he stood for. He hated it. The Dobe was Itachi's target. He didn't even bother taking Sasuke seriously. At first he didn't really pay much attention to the orange-clad idiot, but the Chunin exams. Between now and their time in the academy, it was unnatural progress. At first he thought it was the Rinnegan that was giving him power, but that didn't account for their mission to Wave Country. The Dobe had beaten the guy who had defeated him and was still conscious. He didn't have the Rinnegan back then, so how did he not only survive but win against his opponent? Why was Itachi interested in him to begin with? Just who was Uzumaki Naruto? Judging by the conversation earlier, Naruto was the prince of the Whirlpool Country. He'd never heard of it before. It was strange, especially considering the blonde's bloodline. Naruto had the Rinnegan, so naturally his clan had it also, right? Surely if there were a clan of Rinnegan users someone would have noticed, right? If there was such a clan then, why hadn't he heard anything about them? Questions plagued Sasuke's mind, but he couldn't seem to find any answers. There was also Yugito to consider. He'd never cared much for feelings, physical or otherwise, preferring to retain his seemingly cold appearance. The ambassador from Kumo seemed to embody what he'd always thought Kunoichi was supposed to be like. She was strong, didn't need protecting, and was capable to defending herself. Given time she would be a force to be reckoned with, especially considering she was the granddaughter of the current Raikage. Though for some reason, which he found frustrating, he couldn't seem to copy any of her jutsus with his Sharingan. Dobe, I will find out your secrets. Yours and that girl's too, Sasuke thought as he stared out at the sea, completely oblivious to the cold. It's interesting how things had changed since their academy days, Sakura thought as the ship pulled into dock and everyone began to disembark. Back in the academy everything was normal, and she knew where everything fit. Sasuke was the cool genius, who always won. Naruto was the dead last who always asked her out and she always hit. She was the most popular girl in school and wanted to get to know Sasuke better. Things changed when she joined Team 7. Kakashi taught her a very important lesson. Look underneath the underneath. In other words, don't take anything at face value. Kakashi had lain out Sasuke like he was an old rug. Naruto had not only mastered the ability to create clones but also managed to make them solid. Where Sasuke was beaten badly by Kakashi, Naruto had come up with a plan in the middle of the test and, though it was useless, managed to surprise the scarecrow-like man. Then the mission to Wave Country. She would never forget it, how Sasuke easily dispatched 2 Chunin Nukanons like they were nothing. The look on Naruto's face, and his vow, it was unbelievable and yet terrifying at the same time. Then they were attacked by Momoki Zabuza, the demon of the mist. He was able to catch Kakashi off guard, though that was only because he had to protect his students while fighting. Zabuza had taunted them, scared them beyond all recognition, and just as they were about to run away in fear, Naruto did something that she'd never seen from him before. He didn't give up, he didn't run and didn't back down. He stood his ground and made up a plan which he along with Sasuke managed to implement. The plan surprised Zabuza and freed Kakashi from his prison, who then proceeded to defeat Zabuza. That was the first time she had really seen that Naruto wasn't what he appeared in the academy and Sasuke wasn't that strong when compared to others. It happened again when Zabuza came back with his apprentice and nearly killed them. She had thought Sasuke was killed, but he was just put in a near-death state. Naruto on the other hand had not only defeated the masked nin, but he didn't seem to have a wound on him. She'd thought Sasuke had won the fight since Naruto wasn't that hurt, but when Sasuke asked her if Naruto defeated the masked nin, she knew that wasn't the case. After they returned home, they were entered into the Chunin exams, and yet again Naruto defied every image she ever associated him with. He beat opponent after opponent. Where Sasuke ran out of chakra and energy, Naruto just seemed to go on forever. Then during the finals she found out that he had a bloodline, and not just any bloodline but the same bloodline only the Rikudo Sennin had. It had been months since the tournament, and if she were honest with herself she thought that she was the only no-name on the team. Then there was Yugito. Sakura didn't care much for her. In her opinion the blonde-haired girl was a cross between Ino and Temari. She was annoying, stuck up, and she was sure the girl wanted her Sasuke-kun. I mean, why else would she have joined Team Kakashi? Surely it had nothing to do with Naruto. Okay, he had improved greatly, but he was still an idiot. Not that it mattered. Sasuke-kun would be all hers. One way or another. Snow country, mountain range. After everyone had disembarked from the ship, they had all used the small convoy of vehicles they brought with them to continue their journey on solid ground. It took several hours before the convoy reached the other side of the mountain. They had used a small tunnel going through it which had once been used by the railway, which was once used by the natives. When they stopped to rest, however, things became complicated again. The assistant jumped out of his truck and approached Makino frantically. "Mr. Makino," he shouted as he drew near. "What is it?" Makino asked. "Yuki has vanished again," the assistant replied frantically. "What?" Makino exclaimed. Naruto looked over at Yugito and said, "Find her." Yugito nodded and took off. "No way, I am not going back there," Kyuki thought as she dashed through the frozen forest. Suddenly she tripped and rolled across the ground until she finally came to a stop at the bottom of a hill. Why is this happening? Why do you run away? Kyuki's eyes widened slightly at the voice, but she didn't move. Senju, child of prophecy, are you done? Kyuki looked up and saw Yugito standing not too far away. "Come on, everyone's waiting," the Kumo Chunin said as she pulled the princess to her feet. How did you?" Kyuki began as Yugito suddenly holstered the woman up onto her back. "I'm a sensory type. I had you picked out before you even ran away again," Yugito explained as she took off with the woman clutching her back. "You can run as far as you like and I'd still be able to track you," the blonde stated. Kyuki remained quiet at that as they neared the entrance to the tunnel. "Why do you run away from your fate? It can't be just self-preservation. It's got to be something more than that," Yugito said as she slowed to walking speed. When she didn't answer, she decided to change the subject. "You know, you and Naruto are similar in a lot of ways." Kyuki snorted. "Yeah, right. I'm nothing like your boyfriend. I'm not insane." Yugito snorted. "He's not my boyfriend, and yes, you are insane. You're insane for making everyone worry. You're insane because you're afraid." "I am not afraid," Kyuki growled out. "I heard about your father. He was a great man who followed his dreams. What does that say about you?" Yugito said over her shoulder. "I will not allow you to lecture me," Kyuki sneered. A grin slipped onto Yugito's face. "Then why don't you stop me?" Note: I'm sure some of you have watched the new Star Trek film where one got this line from. It seemed to fit, so I put it in. Kyuki didn't respond. Instead she dropped off the smaller girl's back and sent her a glare. "You can never understand. Every ounce of happiness I've ever had was taken from me because of this country. I hate it. I didn't want to come back here. I do not fear it. I loathe its very existence. Doto should have finished the job back then instead of making me suffer like this," the Snow Princess growled out. Yugito just stared at her. "I may not be able to understand you, but Naruto does. You're everything he's not, and yet you're just the same as him. You're standing in someone else's shadow looking for a way to stand on your own. I've seen the way he looks at you, like he's looking into a mirror. He sees you as a reflection of himself, what he could be if he chooses to. I can't stand the sight of you. I don't care, Kyuki said simply. Yugito turned away at that. Fine. Stay a heartless monster forever, see if I care. Without another word she picked the princess up and started carrying her again in silence. Snow country, mountain tunnel. The sudden sound of a horn echoed through the tunnel as the frozen railroad tracks at their feet began to thaw until the tracks were usable again. Yugito stopped at the sight and looked back towards where the sound originated but only saw a light. It's a train, Kyuki said in confusion. She hadn't seen one since she was a little girl. The only ones used were in Snow Country and they had been frozen over after Doto rose to power. Yugito shot her a surprised look. You've got to be kidding me. The horn echoed again as a large steam-powered train came into view, barreling down the tracks. We should get out of here. Kyuki yelled in surprise. Yugito turned and ran in the opposite direction. I hear you. She ran, Kyuki on her back, with the train following close behind. Her feet were pumped with chakra to increase her speed, her muscles shifting every time her feet touched the ground. Despite her efforts, however, the train slowly gained on them. It was then that they saw the end of the tunnel. Yugito didn't stop even as they jumped out of the tunnel and rolled across the snow-covered ground. The train screamed past but slowed to a stop along the cliff. Kyuki shook her head to get rid of the dizziness clouding her vision and saw that the convoy wasn't there. However, stand atop the platform on the train was her uncle. Doto. The man who ordered her father's death. She didn't know what to say. It's been a long time. Kyuki, the Snow Daimyo said into the mic he held with a smirk on his face. Doto. Fear consumed Kyuki for that single moment. It's been 10 years, come now. Don't be shy, let's get a look at that face, Doto said with that same damn smirk. Yugito stood up in front of the princess causing Doto to narrow his eyes. Hey pedophile. It's against the law to hit on your niece, you bastard. Doto sneered at her. Mind your place, little girl. Make me, she growled as her eyes flashed purple. Before Doto could answer her challenge, several logs barreled down the hill and slammed into the side of the train, surprising them. They looked up and saw Sandayu standing with an army of samurai, ready to put an end to Doto once and for all. There you have it, men. Princess Kyuki is here to watch over us. With her at our side, victory is ours. Sandayu called out and the samurai cheered. Sandayu. You idiot, what are you doing? Kyuki asked barely above a whisper. Hear me, Doto. We've waited a long time for this day of reckoning to come. Asama Sandayu and 50 loyal warriors stand before you to avenge our beloved ruler Sosatsu-sama. You will die here, Doto. Sandayu shouted, raising his weapon into the air. I thought you'd destroyed the last of the insurgents, Doto said, annoyed. Nader bowed his head apologetically. I'm sorry. It appears we missed a few. We will deal with them now. Doto just sneered as he gazed at the group. It doesn't matter. Men such as these can't understand anything but complete annihilation. Wipe them out. Attack. Sandayu called out and the group dashed down the hill with their weapons raised. The side of the train opened, however, to reveal dozens of tubes along the carriage. A nameless Yukinin stood at the controls. He turned the gears and suddenly dozens of kunai shot out from the tubes, creating a wall of flying kunai. The samurai stopped dead in their tracks as their eyes widened at the approaching swarm of deaths. Shinra Tensei, the ground cracked as the kunai were suddenly hurled to the side like toys. Naruto stood next to Sandayu, his arm raised towards the train and his eyes glowed with a dull gray. Kaiten, Guayu no Jutsu. Sasuke exhaled a large fireball from the side which slammed into the side of the train, a section of it to explode in a column of fire. Doto clutched the rail as the train shuddered from the impact. Get us out of here. He barked and the train started moving again. The moment it was on the bridge a bit further down the track, Sakura detonated 2 of her explosive notes. The back end of the train collapsed as the bridge under it was consumed in a pair of miniature suns. The front end of the train kept moving, however, as it released the damaged sections, allowing it to escape. Sasuke and the samurai were about to go after them when Naruto called out, "Hold it. They want us to go after them. If we're going to face them, it will be on our terms, not theirs." Sasuke looked like he was going to argue for a moment but nodded, understanding the logic. He didn't like waiting around, but he did understand that it was better to use any advantage you had. Kyuki walked up to Sandayu and asked in a voice befitting a mother, "You stubborn fool. What were you thinking? You could have gotten yourself and everyone else killed with that little stunt of yours. But Princess, Sandayu began. Kiyuki interrupted before he could finish, but nothing. A leader is supposed to put aside the personal feelings and do what is right for the people. That stunt you just pulled was selfish beyond measure. Calm down, Princess, Naruto said, causing her take a breath. Thank you, Naruto-kun. Sandayu nodded his head in gratitude. Don't. I happen to agree with her. Sandayu took a step back at that. What you did was reckless even by my standards. Don't let your personal feelings cloud your judgment like that again. Oh, the irony of that statement. I'm sorry. Sandayu bowed his head in shame, knowing it was true. Those who stray from the path of justice have no courage, but under the wing of a strong leader cowardice cannot survive, Naruto told him and Kiyuki. The princess looked at him for a moment and clutched the necklace she held. Maybe that was. Sakura whispered. Sasuke nodded at her side. The Shodai Hokage. Let's get out of here. We're no good in the open like this. Just as Naruto gave the order, a large blimp flew up over the mountain. Mizore stood at an opened hatch and fired his grappler. The mechanical hand grabbed Kiyuki's torso and retracted. She let out a yelp in surprise as she was suddenly pulled up into Mizore's arms. He tossed her inside as Fubuki bombarded the terrain below with her ice grenades. Everyone had taken cover by then, and soon enough the airship withdrew from the area. Damn it, Naruto growled out as he saw it fly over the mountain. They got us good there. Yugito winced as she healed the scratch left behind from one of the ice bombs. What now? She asked as she quickly healed Sakura's injuries too. Rescue mission, Naruto said simply. I think it's about time we give a little of what we've been taking. And how do we do that? Asked the Kumo Chunin. Naruto just grinned. The best defense is a good offense. Kiyuki sat in a rather comfortable seat aboard the airship as it flew over the various mountains in the area. Its destination was the former ground of the Kazahana Palace. The site of her former home. She was nervous. She was scared. She was absolutely terrified, yet she was also calm. She had become a natural at hiding her emotions. She was an actress after all. You've grown quite beautiful, Kiyuki, Doto said with a smirk. Tell me, do you still have the hex crystal? Yes, she responded with a grunt. Doto chuckled at that. Good. It is a prize unlike any other. With it I can finally unlock the treasure of the Kazahana clan. Kiyuki looked up, intrigued. Treasure. That necklace is a key to the treasure of the Kazahana clan. When I took control of the country I found that the clan's resources were almost gone. My brother had to have hidden it somewhere. I've already found the location of it. It is in the Rainbow Glacier, but to unlock it I need the Hex Crystal, Doto explained. With this we will finally be able to increase Snow Country's power and eventually overthrow the 5 great shinobi nations. Even if you succeed it won't change anything, Kiyuki said as she took off necklace she wore and handed it to Doto. A second after Doto examined it he snarled angrily, what is this? Do you think I can't recognize a fake? What? But that, Kiyuki's eyes snapped in recognition. Uzumaki Naruto, she whispered in understanding. What? Doto growled. The brat's just like his mother, an unpredictable prankster. I wouldn't put it past him to pull a switch, Nader said as he stood with his team. We'll go get it now, it shouldn't take long. That won't be necessary, Doto sneered as he threw Kiyuki back down on the couch. He turned to the Yuki nins and smirked, we have what he wants. He'll come to us just to save the little princess here like a good little hero. Snow Country, Snow Fortress. The place is crawling with guards, Yugito whispered as she sensed the various chakra signatures in the area. They're all Genin level except for 5, 3 are Jonin level and the last 2 are at the Chunin level, she stated clearly. I thought there were only 3 Yuki nins in that squad, Sakura commented from the side. Yugito nodded, one of the others is Doto but I don't recognize the last one. What about Kiyuki? Where is she? Naruto asked her. Yugito closed her eyes for a moment before replying, she's in one of the underground holding cells. Naruto nodded in understanding, alright, this is what we do. Sasuke, you and Sakura set up as many explosive tags in the fortress as you can while Yugito and I get Kiyuki. While we do this I'll have my shadow clones raising as much hell as possible on those Genin. Just wait for the signal before detonating the tags. And what's the signal? Sakura asked. Naruto just grinned, that would be the prison area going sky high. You know, I've never actually read one of those books about a damsel in distress, but I guess you would count as one, huh? Kyuki looked up upon hearing the voice. Naruto stood outside of her cell with a fox's grin on his face. Hey princess. Did you miss me? Kyuki let a genuine smile cross her lips for the first time in 10 years. You're late, Naruto. Yeah, well, heroes always show up at the last second, he shot back as he opened the cell door. Her smile faltered for a moment. You swapped the hex crystal, didn't you? Naruto nodded and handed her back the purple crystal. Yeah. I figured that's what they were really after, especially considering the feeling I was getting from it. Kyuki looked at him confused. Feeling? Yeah, every time I look at it I feel cold. It's the same as the necklace I've got. Except that one feels warm, the blonde replied. She stared at him for a few more seconds. That can't be. I thought I was the only one who felt anything from this. Naruto, behind you. Yugito called out from down the path. Naruto turned quickly, but he wasn't fast enough. A figure had appeared behind him and knocked him away with what appeared to be sword made of lightning. He bounced off the side of the wall, scattering pieces of the concrete before he finally rolled to a stop a few feet away. He stood to his feet a moment later, being aware of the edge of the pathway overlooking the abyss below. Who the hell are you? Naruto growled. The stranger had already grabbed Kyuki before Yugito could intercept. His blade rested at the princess's neck, ready to slit her throat at a moment's notice. A sudden clapping echoed through the prison area and everyone looked up to see Doto descending from the lift. Well done, Doto said with a smirk as the stranger threw over the hex crystal along with the princess. Dispose of them while I take care of more important business. Kyuki struggled to break free, but to no avail. He released his cloak, revealing his new chakra armor, and took to the air with his mechanical wings. The stranger smirked as he turned to the Konoha Chunin. My name is Rokusho E. He turned his head towards Yugito. It will be the last name you ever hear. He's a Nukanon from Konoha who stole the Rinnegan, the sword that was wielded by the Nadaime Hokage. I thought he joined Am. Why is he here? Yugito asked as she stood beside Naruto. The Kyuubi Jinchuriki wiped the blood from his mouth and said, who cares? We have to get Kyuki and the crystal back. It's too cramped in here to fight properly, Yugito told him. Shinra Tensei, the world was engulfed, expanded around them. E was forced to escape as the ceiling, the cells and even the building on top of them collapsed. Problem solved. The snow fortress was riddled with explosions as explosive tags detonated in a fiery blaze. Team Kakashi watched as the fortress soon tore itself apart, killing all inside. A split second later, the entire building went up in one big fireball, consuming all it touched. Yugito, can you track them? Naruto asked as the four stopped. She nodded in reply. They're heading to Rainbow Glacier. There's a problem in getting there though. What's the problem? Sasuke grunted. She turned towards him. The snow team and that Nukanon are between us and them. There's one Jonin up the mountain, the two Chunin are in the forest, and the other Jonin is just outside the glacier. Naruto thought for a moment before he spoke again. Alright, this is what we're going to do. We're going to split up. Yugito, can you take that rain freak? Yes, Yugito nodded hesitantly. Naruto nodded and turned to the others. Sasuke, walk with me for a moment. The two walked a little ways from the girls and said simply, do you think you can take on two Chunin by yourself? Sasuke grunted at that. It's nothing I can't handle. Why? You and I both know Sakura's no match for a Chunin. If she came with Yugito or I, then we would be slaughtered. The only choice I have is to have you protect her while fighting. Can you do it? Can you protect her while fighting two Chunin? Naruto asked. Sasuke grunted again, mostly in annoyance. It shouldn't be a problem. Naruto smiled at that. Alright then. He spoke louder so everyone could hear. There is one last thing. When you win, don't come to aid the others. Head straight for Doto and Kyuki. Until Doto's plan is stopped and Kyuki is saved, nothing else matters. That will be it for this video. If you want more, comment down below, like, subscribe. And see you guys later.